So I'll call the meeting to order because our first item of business is to elect a chair.
I would like to nominate Rick.
I second that.
Do I have to accept that?
I don't know. I didn't know what they were gonna do. I'm just looking at you because I think it's fun.
What's involved, I gotta be honest, what's involved with the chair of this, because I don't want to commit to something that I'm not going to do.
You run the meetings.
You run the meetings and
And then you have to go on Facebook and talk positively about the district every week for 20 minutes. I'm just kidding. You don't
I do that, but
I'm just kidding.
you'll also give the committee report during.
Yeah, during the board meeting, you
agenda.
give the committee report. And
During
usually
the
we talk
regular
about
board
like,
meetings, you'll
this
report
committee
on.
typically deals with the annual report, the documents that go with that, the presentation of the budget to the community, and public relations around the budget. And we have a lot of conversations as a group about the any big events that are going on. So like last year, this committee kind of talked about the move of 3rd and 6th grade and getting the parents together and some of those things, like, the strategic plan. There's just
Survey to go out.
yeah, we did surveys about the grading. We did some things to try to do a little more outreach this year to get community involvement. But it's not a heavy lift, Rick. And honestly, I do most of the work with this in policy, right? Because I do the
and Phyllis will do the notes for you.
Phyllis usually,
she'll watch.
if
the
you want
video
her to,
notes.
she'll write up the minutes.
So really, it's
That's
just,
half the battle.
it's really just
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned.
sharing and being and running the meeting.
He'll be fine. I'll help him.
Okay.
You will. You'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, trust me. You're good. All right, so you guys got to vote. All in favor? All opposed? No, you gotta say all in favor? All right, all in favor.
Okay.
Rick's the chair. So, I didn't put much on this agenda. It's the end of the year, and we typically don't have a lot on the agenda at the end of the year. I think that, one of the things that we should think about in the fall is making it clear to people the goals and objectives in the strategic plan and trying to get people to actually read parts of it. So I'll give a good example of what I'm thinking of. We've had a lot of questions from the community recently about staff turnover in the district. And the staff turnover in the district is a historic problem for the district. It has gone on for decades. This isn't new. This isn't just happening this year. We looked at 10 years of data, and 10 years of data shows that we have historically lost 40 staff members. It's the way it is.
Is
I
that
don't-
professional staff or just staff
No,
across the
no,
board?
total staff. When we
Okay.
lose professional staff, it's a half to a quarter of the
Okay.
total loss.
Okay.
So for example, this year to date, we've lost 12 professional staff members. And we've had an unusual number of administrators take other positions this year, which seems to be on a 5-year cycle. 5 years ago, we had the entire administrative team leave, and I was hired with almost no one left except 3 people.
Yeah.
So when I started here, only 3 people were left from the original team that had been here for about 8 years. So we seem to be on this cycle of every 5 to 7 or 8 years, administrators get trained up, they get experience, and then they take another job. The outlier in that group is Mr. Stack. He's the longest sitting principal I've ever known.
Is there anything around licensure at 5 years?
No,
No, okay.
no, it's just literally, it's the 5-year golden rule of experience.
Okay.
So when you have 5 years of experience, you become more appealing to other districts and other organizations. Typically with teachers, it's 3 to 5 years. So that's what happens is districts have told our administrators that they look for us to train up our teachers for 3 to 5 years, and then they literally recruit them, particularly in math and science at the high school level. That was one of the first things that Brian Stack said to me when I was hired. So my message on this is,
It's funny you say that though, because I remember when I was in the budget committee in town, and Chief Briggs and Seaman, right? That's not the
Mhm.
last.
Fire chief.
They both said the same thing, that they would hire. It wasn't the same time frame, but it would be, I have to go back, because I still know stuff. Basically a hiring ground, that's the way to describe it.
yeah, we tend to be a place, and part of that is our salaries. Our starting salaries are lower, and our higher end salaries are lower. And there are a couple of complicating factors that I'll talk about in a minute, but from a PR perspective, I think that it's really important for us to get the message out there that we recognize that this is a problem. No one's denying it or sweeping it under the rug. or saying that we don't want to improve staff retention. We do. It's written into the strategic plan that staff retention is something that we need to talk about. So for people to think or say publicly that we aren't talking about it is just misinformation. It's not fair or accurate. Last fall, I came to the board and told everyone, this is where we're at. This is what has happened over the last 5 to 10 years. Presented it fully open and transparently last fall. So I think that we need to do some PR work on making sure that people actually see that the strategic plan addresses issues that are being brought up on social media.
I also think though, people need to understand what's an HR issue versus, you know,
Yes.
like I think there's some things.
An
like
educational component.
what's, you know, like, I'm not gonna walk into, no one's gonna walk into my place of business and ask why I'm leaving one job going to another.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to figure out from the PR perspective, how do we educate people without appearing defensive?
Mhm.
That's really important because there's nothing to defend. We're not going to be defensive. We're going to tell people what the facts are. And the facts are that prior to my leadership, 5 years prior, 4 contracts failed. Those 4 contracts mean that any professional staff member working in the district during that 5 to 7 years is 4 years behind the same experienced peers on their pay scale. When they move to another district, they get those 4 years. I have staff getting $20,000 and $25,000 raises because of previous administration's failed contracts. Fine, it is what it is. I haven't failed a contract since I've been here. And if people want that to continue, the budgets have to be reasonable because the community trusts us in this board, in this leadership, that we're going to bring a reasonable budget forward and reasonable pay increases forward. And that's why the contracts are passing. We've worked very hard. We have had a 100% pass rate in 5 years. People don't know that. That has improved our salaries, but it hasn't caught us up.
Mhm.
And the one thing that I wonder, the biggest concern that I have, is that in order to catch us up salary-wise to other districts, we have to approve a significant increase, which has failed in the past.
Mhm.
And I don't want a failed contract. So when you do a 2% raise, it doesn't fail. You start looking at 3 to 5%, it may fail. And I have to figure out, I think that the sweet spot coming up is when the $2.5 million for the high school comes off the budget. Then we talk about an increase for the teachers, and I timed this current contract so that it lines right up. And it'll be up for renegotiation when that 2.5 million comes off the budget. We did that consciously. So the current teacher contract ends when the building contract ends.
It was a 3-year contract. wasn't it?
Yeah, the bond. Yeah, I think it's pretty close. Like we might have to negotiate year 1 as a 1.5 or whatever, 2%. But the second year we can increase. So we've got a plan to try to improve staff retention through salaries by being offset with the decrease of the $2.5 million bond without increasing the budget. That's the plan. So I think that the PR committee's goal is to get people to read the strategic plan and see that we're not hiding these issues or trying to sweep them under the rug, as some people would like to accuse the board or myself or others of doing. That's not what's happening. We're saying head on, we want staff to stay. We want to keep people here.
But I don't, sorry.
I was gonna say, we didn't approve the minutes, so we
Yeah.
might.
Do you want to do that?
Oh, did I jump? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We've only got 30 minutes, so I wanted to get right into the heat of it here, but thanks, Rick.
You both here?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from 2/2/22.
Second.
Discussion. I have to abstain.
It's okay.
All in
All
favor?
Thank you.
I just didn't want that. to
No,
be-
and do you have anything else to add before Rick? I think you wanted.
I think we should I think we need to bring coffee with Tom back.
Yep.
I think that was really good. And I also think maybe we should do some focus groups in the fall regarding the strategic plan and maybe having different areas like the facilities, like maybe the facilities committee having a focus group. And like, I just
That'd be a
think
great idea.
like having the committee members maybe doing some focus groups with the community members and talking about how because people don't really watch the committee meetings.
I know, that's a big problem.
You know, so
Yeah.
I think, because people don't, we've talked about this with ISA, there's a lot of things that happens in ISA, but I don't know if a lot of the parents watch the ISA meeting.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think if we have the committees, maybe do some individual focus groups about the things that we're working on in the smaller groups that relate to the strategic plan, we might get better luck with some feedback.
Yep, I agree.
So we talked about retention, right? And I don't disagree that there's a plan that involves money, right? But I don't know if you've answered the question of why.
Mhm.
Money's not the answer, right?
It's one answer. There's no whole answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no amount of money is gonna make somebody stay in a bad situation.
Exactly.
They're not staying. So I think there's a couple of things that I think there's a big misconception of. We may want to start just explaining what the role of the board is.
Mhm.
Because I've gotten in the last week emails specifically like, hey, what are you gonna do about people? What are you gonna do to improve the retention? And, as a board, we can make recommendations, right? But it's your team,
Mhm.
right? So, again, I think we can put some suggestions in front of you, focus groups, right? That's another good suggestion. And I think the community has to get it, and I'm not saying everybody, but there's a large number of people that I don't think understand, what our role is. And it seems like there's more people getting involved, which is good, right? I mean,
If it's productive, yes.
yeah, but it's not always gonna be, people getting involved. People getting involved is good. It's our jobs to rein them in to be productive.
Right. We have to help them be productive.
Correct, right,
Yeah.
so showing up is half the battle.
Exactly. I agree with that. Yes.
Showing up and being disruptive is not acceptable.
Right.
Showing up and not knowing what you're talking about, and getting educated on the process is perfect.
I agree. That's productive.
Yeah,
Yep.
so, I think, I think we should keep that in the back of our minds, and I think every message that we send should be, at the root of this is why we do things, right? This is how we're gonna do them. This is our role, this is Tom's role, this is the administrator's role. I just think a lot more education has to be done, and there is that big question of why, right? I don't think everybody takes into account of what's going on in other districts. That information is helpful. People seem to forget reasons when the Great Resignation is still a factor, right?
Huge.
Teachers still being upset about how they were treated during COVID time, still an issue.
And one of the issues that's popping up for us right now that's very important is that parents are taking to Facebook when they're angry about things instead of contacting the teacher.
Yeah.
And then that's getting sent to the teachers. And it's not just in the parent pages, it's in their personal pages.
Yeah.
Teachers know what people are saying about them on Facebook.
Yeah,
And it's a big problem.
Yeah.
Not that it's any, no, and I want to be clear. I don't think that that's necessarily a Sanborn problem or Sanborn parents. It's happening in every
I
community.
watched TikTok the other day where like 6 teachers had posted on TikTok of them dancing to their principal to give their resignation.
Mhm.
Like teachers are just burned, but it's the same in the mental health community, like we can't hire either. We have people resigning in exorbitant, and we have administrators and program directors and high level people leaving too. It's because the burnout rate is just so high.
Right, my message from a public relations perspective on this matter is, if you want the schools to improve, the community has to work together as a community to focus on improving the schools. It's that simple. We can't expect our kids to go to school and treat others with respect and decency if they aren't seeing us do it. We can't expect our community, the teachers, to feel supported by the community if everyone's angrily posting on Facebook instead of sitting down and having a productive conversation. We have to unite. And we have to figure out if the PR committee wants to figure out how to try to, like, if you want, like, I'm happy to do coffee with the superintendent. The thing that I think is going to happen is the people that I need to speak to aren't going to come.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I'll talk to the people who do come. That's fine with me. But what I'm trying to figure out is how do we get people to sit down and have a productive conversation about what we're going to do about it. right? What are we going to do about it? And we have two choices. The community is either going to come together and support the schools and figure out problem solving, or they're going to keep fighting the way that they are, and then they're going to keep losing people.
Mhm.
Because this community fighting is not this year. It's not new. You told it, you said it right at the board meeting. They're the devil, they're the devil, they're the devil. That's what I heard when I got here, and I said, I'm not buying any of this. Because I don't think anyone has that much negative intention. I want to hear what everyone's saying, and that's why it's gone so well. I've been able to listen to all these different people and figure out what to do. But what I can't figure out is how to get people to the table that won't even come to the table and talk. I don't know how to do that. Like, I can help people who are willing to come to the table and talk. If they're willing to understand, they may not get their way.
Mhm.
There are things that happen here that I don't even
Yeah,
agree
but
with.
I don't even think that people understand. That's too much of a saying, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, it's sort of tough, right?
Yeah.
I don't think people necessarily understand what they want, right?
Right.
I think, I'll use this as an example. I think I said this before. The most important thing, right, was getting our kids back in school. Remember that?
Yeah.
Most important thing. Gotta get back in the classroom, right? Pissed off the teachers you can't work at home, no matter what, you're going back into the classroom.
Mhm.
And teachers were upset by that. I think we all know that.
Mhm.
But we got the kids back in for, I don't know, a month, 3 months. Then the most important thing was the kids gotta play sports. Forget that they gotta be back in the classroom now, and forget that COVID's still going on, and forget that there's adult teachers and seniors in our schools. Right?
Mhm.
Forget that, but that's the most important thing. So then sports happen, people start getting sick, and then the next thing was most important thing, kids don't have to wear masks. Forget the teachers, forget the senior people, right, the senior staff, forget all that. The most important thing is don't have to wear masks. So we have all these distractions, and if you keep putting in distractions and distractions and distractions, you'll lose focus on the fact that the kids are behind,
Mhm.
your teachers are not motivated, you're pissing them off. And like, if you keep throwing distractions at things and don't focus on the big rocks, I mean, it's easy to just stumble through and not accomplish anything.
Well, and I think that's the biggest message that I have for everyone is that even 3 weeks ago, we didn't know school was going to be open. It's still happening.
Yeah.
Literally 3 weeks ago, I thought I was going to have to put the high school on remote and move the teachers down to Bakey, the subs, to keep Bakey open so parents could work. We aren't out of the woods with COVID yet. November is going to be very challenging. And if the community doesn't come together and tell the teachers, look, we appreciate what you do for our kids. We appreciate you as I mean, I had somebody leave education completely over what you just talked about. One of the best teachers we have. She's not leaving our district. She's done. She's not going to be a teacher anymore. That made me incredibly sad. And I personally sat down with this teacher and said, can you please rethink this? This is what I see. This is what I know. I want to support you. I value you. What can we do? She's done. It's not you. It's not the board. It's not me. It's not the principal. It's the kids and the parents.
Yeah.
And the abuse.
Yeah, I think that it's a matter of taking a look in the mirror, right?
For all of us.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yep, all of us.
The kids that are readjusting, they're readjusting to school life. My kids are readjusting to restaurant life. Like, there's a big difference I've seen just taking them to a restaurant.
They are really struggling. People do not understand that my message to people is I'm more focused right now on mental health and getting the kids to come to school and actually participate in school than I am anything else right now. That is what I'm most worried about. I've spent hours in the school these last few months. And I can tell you right now, the kids, like the restaurant story, are even worse when they're in school. It's not what it was like 2 years ago. The kids are different. This has changed them.
Mhm.
And we have to focus on fixing that first. And the best way to fix that is through routines, right? Structure. You have to get them into routines and get them back into routines. And that is going to take a little while for us to restructure. It's way more than what we thought it was going. We knew it'd be hard. We thought for the first 6 to 8 or 10 weeks that it would be hard. It's still hard. I met with teachers today. I spent 2 hours at the high school meeting with students about grading. And the students just said, we just want to be ready for college. And if we're not going to college, we want to be ready for the world of work. But right now, people are really the kids were saying that people are disengaged, right? Which is fascinating because they were talking about engagement. And there'll be a lot more about that coming up, but that's why we use some of that ESSER money to hire additional counselors to help the schools.
Yeah, I have kids in my caseload that haven't been to school consistently in a year because they have such anxiety.
Attendance is a major problem right now. So I think from a PR perspective, I think that my message to you is, let's start the year out talking about the strategic plan and strategies for getting people to understand that the issues that we face are included in that plan and that we do want to address them, right? Because my message to the folks that are concerned about exit interviews or people who are leaving the district, they're leaving because there are openings in other districts or other jobs, because those people are leaving. And everyone's kind of feeling like the grass is greener on other sides. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I've heard and seen that is really important is that on the other side, they feel like, okay, I am where I am, and all of this has happened with COVID and everything, and everyone's burned with relationships about masking and being in school and this, that, and the other. At least with the new job, I get a fresh start, right? I don't know the parents, I don't know the people, and COVID's over, somewhat over now. That there is a grain of truth to that with people switching jobs. They feel like the grass is maybe not greener, but maybe there's a little more, it's different grass on the other side, right? So they know that they're gonna have problems, and the problems are kind of universal. But what I want to be clear about, that there is no topic, none, that we can't discuss that we face as a group. But we need to focus on fixing them and not attacking people for them. Because I'm not going to have the principals pushed on because people are claiming that staff are leaving. The people have been leaving here forever. And Rick, I have to respectfully say that salaries in education are a big deal, because your retirement is based on that salary. So $20,000 in this industry is a massive difference in your retirement amount, because your retirement amount is based on the percentage of the gross salary that you make at the close of your employment. So when people look for other jobs, they're not just looking at the increase. A $20,000 increase for a $50,000 a year employment is a massive change in their
Yeah,
retirement.
no, I want to argue with that.
Yeah.
I just don't want to I want to make sure that the message that we're not putting out today is that throwing money at the problem is a fix.
It's not the only fix. It's one piece,
Yeah.
right? And I agree with you that culture, collaboration, feeling valued, feeling like the community is behind the schools is equally as important. I'd say that in my mind, if the pay is good and those things are good, you're going to keep people. If those things are good and the pay is okay, you're still going to keep people. If you're there and you've got someone who can get 25,000 a year, why not one get 35? They're going.
Sure.
Because the
Whether they
retirement
like it,
piece.
whether they like it here or not.
Exactly. Yeah. There's just certain amounts that will draw people out, because 30,000 on a $50,000 a year salary is massive. So we need to just kind of be careful about the messaging, that it's a balance, right? So I agree that it's a balance.
But I do think we, whether, and I think the elephant in the room is that COVID is huge, but also the reorg happened and COVID happened at the same exact time. So there's, the middle school is just getting it's
Yeah, it's going really well these last
doing
few
an
months.
amazing job
Yep.
getting the community. Bakey's trying, Memorial. Like, I just think that a lot of the high school, their culture didn't have to change, right? Nothing changed for the high school.
Right. The high school's been, but the thing is that the high school hasn't been engaged in its natural cycle of
Yeah.
growth and improvement. And that's something that Brian has even said, you want to get a little better every year.
Mhm.
And they just haven't been able to. They've been able to just kind of keep things moving through COVID.
But they haven't, as Jocelyn has said, they haven't been able to do the things that they do as a community. So I think those two big things have played a real big role in our community.
I agree.
And I also think our community has a very long memory. Like, people still complain about things that changed 20 years ago. So I think that.
Oh, my favorite one's the dump truck.
Oh, yeah.
Or they put kindergarten in without getting it approved. I mean, I hear about all kinds of things from 10, 15 years ago, like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's all distractions. It's all this.
it is, I agree. And the focus, we have to agree as a team, the board, that the focus is three things: aligning the curriculum, getting common assessments to figure out where kids are with learning the curriculum, and then doing something about it. That's what we need to do.
Yep.
That's my focus. And I'm inviting anyone who wants to be at the table to help me achieve that to come to the table.
Mental health, please.
Well, that, you can't access the curriculum without
Well,
mental
that's,
health.
but that's the thing is,
Yeah.
if your reptilian brain's always active, you're not gonna be able to access the curriculum.
And the cell phones are a big part of that. There's all kinds of little things in that curriculum and there's more, but I'm saying the big three.
Mhm.
If you don't have an aligned curriculum, aligned assessments and kids engaging in those things, which mental health is a huge part of,
So this is a new Tom's big three?
that is the big three.
Only the other big three was detract.
Well, yeah, that was a budget big three.
Oh, okay.
That's my educational big three. Thanks, that was pretty funny, actually, yeah.
Even this is us.
This is the long-term big three.
Right.
Yeah, this is like a 5-year project, big three. And it's good, we'll get it. We've got a lot of really good
But I
people.
do think doing some sort of focus group in the
Yeah.
fall will, I think will help because it will show what we're actively doing towards those areas.
Mhm. Well, and I'm happy one thing I thought is that I would talk with the PR chair and maybe schedule coffee with Rick and I to get some people to come to the table. There's nothing wrong with that. You and I can sit down and talk with people.
And if Rick, you need help covering, just let me know.
He's got flip-flops.
Coffee.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, if you have like work meetings or stuff too, we can always.
Yeah, we
I
can all
always
work
help
together.
alternate too.
All right, so the pizza's here. Are we good? I got pizza. You want some pizza?
Yeah, I have a policy meeting.
Yeah, so do you. We got pizza.
No, I'm not on policy.
Oh, you're not on policy?
Nope.
Oh,
All right.
Okay,
So the next meeting date is September 7th.
thanks. Sounds good.
Your job is to adjourn. That's part of it.
Oh, okay. Meeting over. Adjourned.
There you go.